Anything that makes us unhappy is there to guide us deeper into happiness. That's how it is if we're truly getting into meditation and truly walking a spiritual path, or getting into yoga, or getting into any form of real religious or spiritual life. Anything that goes wrong is there to guide you back to the changeless. There to guide you back to God, to self, to source. Because anything that goes wrong that we get attached to, that we start buying into a narrative of lack over, or a narrative of fear or aversion over, is where we have forgotten source, where we've forgotten self, where we've forgotten God, where we've forgotten the truth. So if we're truly getting into meditation and we're getting into spirituality, the little things that go wrong get flipped on their head. Perhaps we don't go running into them excitedly, like, yes, call up my friend, yes, I got a flat tire today, this is awesome. It doesn't mean that we run into our experiences that go wrong in the world just in absolute jubilation. But it does mean that we face those things that go wrong from a completely different state. We face those things that go wrong looking to be taught a lesson. We face those things that go wrong with full presence, with full involvement, because we are interested. We're no longer trying to run away from what goes wrong. We're actually looking to get more and more involved in what is wrong, looking more and more closely. Why does this bother me so much? My boss said this. Why does that get me so bad? I was in a long line in the grocery store. Why can't I seem to fully let go of the tension that arises in me under those circumstances? Normally we give in and we feed into these states of anger or resistance. But if we're truly looking at them from a spiritual perspective, and from a perspective of wanting to get free, wanting to be free from these reactions, to be free from this constant state of tension and being unsettled, we face these things that go wrong in a different way. So everything that goes wrong, everything that creates unhappiness in us, is actually guiding us into a deeper sense of happiness, if we want to take on this lifestyle, if we want to take on the spiritual life. Now, the happiness that we're going for isn't worldly happiness. People hear me say, or not even hear me say, they think of meditation as supposed to be giving them happiness, and yet they sit in meditation and they're more unhappy than they've ever been. Because they're still looking for the same form and the same expression of happiness that they're looking in all other places. Before, they were chasing the cheeseburger for happiness, or they were chasing the relationship, or the fast car, or the right job for happiness. Now they're just turning the lights off, turning inward, and chasing that happiness within themselves. And it's the same game, just in a different dimension. That isn't the type of happiness I'm talking about, because that type of happiness is always going to change. So we can't be looking for the form of happiness that is in that realm, because being in a body and having a mind, we're always going to be subject to unhappiness. That is not the happiness I'm talking about. I'm talking about a deeper sense of freedom. I'm talking about the freedom to say yes to both states and to whatever appears. So if we're truly spiritual, if we're truly meditative, we start to celebrate our unhappiness as much as we celebrate our happiness, because they both open up the gates wider and wider for us to be able to rest in complete freedom, no matter what appears in front of us. And that's what spiritual liberation is. Being able to say yes to whatever appears.